Hello and welcome to the Tough Girl podcast, which is all about motivating and inspiring you. I'm your host, Sarah Williams. The Tough Girl podcast is sponsorship and ad-free, and that's thanks to the monthly financial support of patrons. To find out more about supporting the Tough Girl podcast, please visit Patreon, patreon.com/Tough Girl podcast, and help me to increase the amount of female role models in the media. All patrons will get their name on a dedicated patrons page on the Tough Girl website. All female patrons, $5 and above, are invited to join the closed Facebook group, the Tough Girl Tribe. Today, I'm delighted we're going to be speaking with Michelle Griffith-Robinson, a former GB Olympian. She's a wife, mother of three, lifestyle coach, personal trainer, and ambassador for Diabetes UK.
My name, like you said, is Michelle Griffith-Robinson. I am a Olympian, a triple jumper. Started off my journey as a long jumper and spent 15 years as a triple jumper. I'm a life coach, a mentor, and a mother of three brilliant kids as well. And I'm married to Matthew Robinson, a former Welsh international rugby player.
Let's go back to your childhood and growing up. Were you from quite a sporty, outdoorsy family?
Well, we was a very sporty family. I have three older brothers, and I'm the youngest, only girl, which is probably why I can run so fast and why I was almost had to keep up with them all and had to do really well because otherwise I wasn't allowed to play with them. So I've got three older brothers. One of my brothers played football for Watford. He was a goalkeeper around the era of John Barnes, Luther Blissett, Elton John. He's 3 years older than me. My other two brothers did karate and did running. So we were genetically blessed, I would say, with the sporty gene. Neither my mother or my father came from the sporty gene. They were athletic, but they didn't pursue that because in the Caribbean, doing just sport isn't one of the things that you just do. They really pushed you to do academic. And I remember my dad didn't really like me taking so much time out to do sport because he didn't think it would lead on to anything else. It was always get your academics, get your education. So that was always a battle in my family life as well, but of course you make these decisions, these choices, and they lead wherever they lead,
When you were growing up, did you think it was possible to have a career in sports? Was that a goal? Was that a dream?
I wouldn't say, if I'm being really honest, I never thought it was going to be a career, but I often thought by the time I was 15, 16, and I went to my first Youth Olympics with Dame Gilly Holmes, I actually felt then, my God, what would this be like on the real world stage of going to a real Olympic Games? And just through going through the ranks, really, and just thinking, I'd like to represent my country at maybe like at the Commonwealth Games, maybe at the Europeans, maybe at the World Championships. And I thought just maybe the Olympics. And as it turned out, I was able to represent Great Britain and Northern Ireland at all of those major championships right through. I went to 3 World Championships, made 3 World Championship finals as well. I went to 3 or 4 European Championships as well. And I only made to 1 Olympic Games, narrowly missed 2000 and 2004. But, it was a journey that I can honestly say I never thought when I was 12, 13 that I would make it to the Olympic Games. It was more of a hobby that turned into a passion that I could see I'm really good at this. And it was an amazing life. And I'm very, very blessed. Even now, I'm in my late 40s. I feel exceptionally blessed that I managed that pathway.
I mean, looking back to when you were younger, were there many female sporting role models around you? Yeah, who were your role models?
I would say I often talk about my role models for me were my mother. So she wasn't a sporty individual per se, but the role model, and I would say the work ethic that my mother has always instilled and demonstrated was work hard, put your best effort in, always do your best. So I think those few things already are what athletes need or what sports people need. You need to work hard. You need to be resilient. You need to get up and go. You can't make excuses, whether it's raining, snowing. You've got to get up and do what you have to do. And that was the same in what my mum had to do every day in order to put food on the table for me and my brothers. She had to get up, no matter how tired she was, working 2 jobs as a ward sister. She still had to get up and keep going. So in terms of sporting role models, there weren't many around that I could say were my sporting role models, if I'm being really honest. I remember watching a sprinter called Evelyn Ashford, and I remember watching some of the American sprinters, but I cannot honestly say that I had a female sporting role model when I was younger. As I got older, I admired a lady called Heike Drechsler, who was a German long jumper, and Merlene Ottey, who was a Jamaican sprinter. But growing up, my role model for me, which I'm very lucky to have, was a woman in my house, my mum.
And sometimes I think it's so important when you have people around you who believe in you and encourage you.
Absolutely, Sarah. I think that's part of it was my mum always instilled in me, you can do anything you want to do. Anything you want to do, you can do. You might need to try a bit harder. You might need to, explore this avenue. But she never once told me you cannot do something. She never once told me that.
So you talked about going to the Youth Olympics, and were you working with a coach at that point? Were you a member of a running club? How did it all start to come together for you?
I was part of a club. I was a club called Middlesex Ladies. That's where I first started off, a little cinder track in Wembley called Middlesex Ladies, based at Vale Farm, which I'm not even sure if it's still there now. So that was our community back there. Then I was at Wilson Sports Centre, where I trained with a guy called Dave Johnson. And then I ended up going to Windsor, Slough and Eton and having a coach down there. So my club ended up being Windsor, Slough and Eton, which is in Windsor. And I think for me, it was learning my trade, learning what I was good at. I started off as a long jumper, which is what I said at the top of the conversation. I was a long jumper. And to be honest with you, I probably would have ended up jumping maybe 650, 6 meters 50. But I don't think I would have made the Olympic Games with that, because I don't think I was generally not good enough. But when the triple jump became more of an event for women, it just so happens that I was a natural at it. And I'm very lucky to say, and proud to say, that I ended up being one of the best ever triple jumpers in the UK, one of the first woman ever to jump over 14 metres in the Commonwealth. And that was from just a little girl from Wembley, just going to the track and recognising that she was good enough.
Could you take us back and share more about that Commonwealth experience and jumping over 14 metres? I mean, the distance is huge.
Yeah. Well, I guess when I talk about it now, I even say now, Sarah, I really home in on the fact that if there's 8 women, 10 women that in England that have jumped over that, there's plenty. It's still jumping over 14 metres. No, it wasn't what I wanted. I wanted to jump over 15 metres. And there's only one, maybe a Shia Hansen or Anyamile that have ever jumped over 15 metres. So, it's still a very elite few. But what I would say is 1994, turning up at Sheffield, which unfortunately isn't there anymore. It was Jessica Ennis's track, the track Don Valley. I turned up there. I remember the morning of being there. I was in the best shape ever. Every time I went out, stepped a foot on the track, I was jumping, breaking British records. And I think on that particular day, I just felt, as a sportswoman, you just know when you're ready and when you're in shape. And I guess that's, you can relate that to business when you're ready to deliver. I do a lot of public speaking, and I know when I feel great, when I feel up for it, when I've got the energy, and I can feel I can go in there and really light up the stadium or light up the room. And I came down there and I hopped, stepped, jumped. And before they even put up the distance, they put up the white flag. I ran back jumping, and you could see the elation. I knew I jumped over 14 meters because it was coming, but I knew I jumped over it. And I jumped 14:08. I then went on to jump 14:03 within the same series. And like I said, only 8 women, and that's over. It was 1994. So my maths isn't brilliant, but it's a good 20 something years ago that I was, I can still, claim that I'm the first ever woman in the Commonwealth to jump over 14 metres.
One of the things I think is fascinating is around the pressure of performance and dealing with that pressure. How do you handle that pressure in the sporting world? And what can people learn from that to apply it to their own lives when they're dealing with pressure?
I think something you said around having a team around you. We're all going to face pressure, and there's no point us pretending that we're not. It's all going to face pressure. We're all going to feel anxious. We're all going to feel stressed. It's how do you deal with that? And it's having coping strategies to manage yourself and deal with that. And there's some days, if I'm being honest, and I'm listening to our listeners out there, there's some days that I felt I can't do this today. But those days were very few and far between. And it was having the support, a team around me, my tribe, a group, that would turn around and say, come on, Mish, you can. Tell me why you can't. And almost breaking it down. And in the end, you say, actually, I feel supported, And I think that's one of the things that if I put that to the workplace, if you're in a team and say one member of your team isn't, kicking butt, for example, it's down to you as a member of that team to raise each other up, because we're not always going to be on our A game. Yeah. But what we do need is at least one of you to be able to recognize that and try and lift the other person up. And that's what my squad, my athletic squad, my coach, my physio, my psychologist as I got older, UK Athletics, my supporters, my sponsors, they lifted me up and made me believe. And I think if you've got that team around you that makes you feel, that gives you that belief, you can achieve anything. You really can.
Now, I know that you are retired from elite sport now,
Yes.
but I'd love to know, what was your life like as a professional athlete? Like, how did it work with, with the financial side of thing, with the training side of thing? How did it all come together for you?
That's a brilliant question, because there were times and pockets and where I was very well supported. I got national lottery. I got, funding, Sport England funding. I remember getting some funding from Ron Pickering Foundation. But my biggest change for me, where I felt supported, was DHL. So I'm sure some of our listeners will remember Ain't No Mountain High Enough. Now, I'm not a singer. I'm not Tina Turner or Diana Ross, but Ain't No Mountain High Enough was DHL's, almost like a sign to them. And DHL, I wrote up a letter, and I would like to share this, about being tenacious as well. I dropped out of university because I was doing a language degree, I was very good at languages. So let me go back a bit. I was very good at languages. I got in to do a language degree, and I did HND with tourism for 1 year. And my grades were so good that my tutor said to me, why don't you go and do international relations with French and Spanish? So that's why I went on to do that next. So I continued on. So because my credits were so good from my previous, the start of my first degree. I was in there and I never fitted in to anybody's life. Their lives were very different. And the culture, I guess, was very much drinking, partying, and a little bit of studying. I didn't want that. I wanted to do track and field. And at this point, I could really feel that the athletics was within my sight to go to a major championships. I could feel that by now. I came home in the March and I said to my mum, I've dropped out of university. Mum said to me in the strongest Jamaican accent, what do you mean you drop out of university? And I said, Mummy, look, it's not my passion. She said, but you're a bright girl. I said, Mummy, I know I'm a bright girl, but I want to pursue my athletics career. She said to me, okay, let me sit down and talk to your stepdad about this, what we're going to do. So we sat down and they both agreed that they would help support me for 6 months with my track and field. But by December, it's about 7 months. By December, I had to have had a job. Didn't matter where, but I had to have had a job to support where I'm going. I wrote off 10 letters. And these 10 letters, and I was fortunate enough that only one replied. And I say fortunate enough. That one that replied was DHL. DHL replied back, and a guy called Michael Dent, who I'm still friends with now, said to me, come in and share your story and let us know about it and, tell us more about you. They gave me an opportunity to train, compete, work part-time on a full-time salary. That's how I funded myself, because of them. And that is when I say to you, when there's so many companies out there, and I know we're in a difficult times at the moment with everything financial and the economic crisis that we're going to be faced with. But it just takes one company to have faith in you. And I stayed with them for 4.5 years. I went to the Olympic Games underneath them. They supported me. I could take time off whenever I wanted to. I even learned new skills. I went in there as like somebody that could do marketing. I left there as a marketing analyst. So I learned my trade in marketing. I did a little bit of PR. I even had a friend of mine who's now a very good friend of mine, Anne Campbell. She was my PR lady for DHL. We're still exceptionally close friends today. And that was DHL that gave me the opportunity. So that's how I funded myself for 4.5 years through the crucial times of where I needed to shine because of them.
I can't imagine what it's like, following your passion in sports, but then, having the financial worry of how can I pay for this? How, even things like pensions and retirements and houses and all those things. So having that support must have just been such a relief, like, to be able to do that.
It was massive relief to have that. Don't get me wrong. I also have to add in there was times where I'm scraping around for money, where I'm then saying to my mum, I'm not getting my sponsorship money in from Nike yet. So can you fund me X, Y, and Z? And she's like, yeah, okay, I'll give you that, but make sure you give it back. I think that was one thing you mentioned about pensions. I still haven't got a pension. I've got a flat that is going to be my pension. I've always put money away, drip fed money away into my property. So that will be my pension. I didn't buy my first house until I was 29. I didn't buy it until I was 29 and that was because my mum said to me, don't pay me any money for a year, save all your money and put down for a deposit. And I saved £10,000 towards a deposit. And these are the things that there are so many sacrifices. Yes, I had funding from different places. I had sponsorship money as well. I had a cereal sponsorship with Weetabix. I had Jordans, but they're drip fed. But the real change for me when we were talking about funding was in 1999, I got dropped from National Lottery. And it was me, myself and my best friend Caroline. And I said, what should we do? I'm dropped from this. I've got no real money. She said, I fancy a change of career as well. So she did athletics, but not at the same level as me. I said, I've just seen a personal training course advertised. Should we do that? She said, yeah, but it's around Christmas. I said, doesn't matter. Let's do it. So because we were like two peas in a pod anyway, our whole life, we went on this, I think it was, oh gosh, I can't even remember what they're called now. But it was 21 years ago. I can't remember the company we went to. But it was 21 years ago that we did our personal training qualification. And from me doing my personal training, plus being in Marie Claire, Cosmopolitan, showcasing me doing my sport, I managed to pick up some clients, and I was lucky enough to pick up Mel B from the Spice Girls. So that in itself then, I had a good clientele. I had Gail Porter as well. I had a couple of TV presenters as well. So that then, being a personal trainer, helped fund my athletics career. And because I was self-employed, I was able to do that around my training. So actually, that is how I carved out my career. And I often say to people now who are still in sport and still doing athletics, try and find your niche whilst you're at the top of your game, because it's a very unhappy place when the phone calls dry up.
That must have been really tough when you were dropped in 1999. Was that sort of like quite out of the blue, or is it something that you were expecting?
To be honest with you, it's something that I was expecting, but it's a case of you expecting it, but you don't actually know how you're going to feel until you're in it. So until you're actually in it and you've walked in those shoes, you can now say, gosh, now I know how I'm feeling. So I was dropped. I had no money coming in. I was tired of relying on my parents. But, I was fortunate enough that I did well with my money. I did well and I accumulated a little bit of money. So I always had a little something to fall back on. So I was able to pay for my course. I remember my course was like £700. I remember I paid for my course outright and everything else. But doing that course, along with all the other skills that I've learned and everything else, enabled me to go on to become, a very good, well-renowned personal trainer. Then I went on to mentoring in 2009 and life coaching in the last 5-6 years. So, it's using all those different skill sets. And I'm thankful that I had that drop in 1999, because who knows, would I have gone into personal training had I not been dropped?
What's your relationship with sport and exercise now? Becoming a mother, having 3 children, what sort of exercises, are you doing? Do you do like mini challenges? Like how do you do that?
So I'm going to share with you my journey of sport. So like I said to you, I married Matthew Robinson, who's a Welsh international rugby player. Matt's very sporty. I'm very sporty. We've got 3 kids who got the gene pool who are very sporty. I've often done challenges. When I retired from sport, I started off with a 10K. So I started off with 10K. And now for me, people are thinking, is that it? A 10K for me, remember I'm a 35-meter sprinter and then a jumper at the end. That was huge. That was massive for me doing that. I've done 3 or 4 half marathons with Caroline again. I did kickboxing. I went into kickboxing. I was saying this to somebody last night that I was kickboxing champion for the Southeast. I went into kickboxing and only stopped that about 5 years ago. So I've always kept fit with my family. I've always run. I've always done lots of circuits. And actually, during lockdown, I've been inspiring a lot more of my Olympian friends by running Zoom classes with them online. So just doing half-an-hour classes 3 times a week with them. It's been fantastic. So I do a lot of personal training with my clients online as well. But it's mainly circuits. I do a couple of running sessions a week. I do a fast running session. Last night, for example, I said to my husband, I need a change today. Can't bother to run. It's raining. What can we do? He said, I'll take you for a kickboxing session. So I did a 35-minute kickboxing session. I actually wish I never asked him, actually, to be honest. But I do think it's about learned environment as well. Our kids are naturally sporty. They follow us. One of my daughters is an amazing in fact, I'm going to say both my daughters are amazing netballers. The 16-year-old has just started triple jumping last year, so she's in the infantry stages of that. The 13-year-old is a brilliant long jumper and 200-meter runner, and was ranked in the top 5 best ever long jumpers for under 12 ever in the UK. And my 6-year-old he's just the one that just follows us, and has got the natural sporty gene, can run, throw, catch, and we actually thrive on being really sporty and working out together. You know, I have put it out there, so I will say it now. Watch this space, because we're setting up a YouTube channel called the Fit Family Robinsons, all about the days in the lives of a fit family in the UK.
Oh my God, I love that so much. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Another thing that you've got a connection with is you are an ambassador for Diabetes UK. And I'd love to hear more about the work that you're doing in that space.
Something that is very deep for me, you know, and I say this, and my mother is diabetic type 2, was type 2 diabetic, and she was diagnosed when she was in her late 50s. I'm going to say it was 2 years ago, and I'll share this story with our listeners here. 2 years ago, just under 2 years ago, I was feeling unwell. I was weeing all the time, didn't know why I was weeing. And after going through numerous scans and a lot of anxiety and worry, you know, hopefully it's not bladder cancer, cervical, what's going on, and, you know, I had a scan and I had a scope, and they said to me that everything down there was fine, but it looked like I was on the brink of being type 2 diabetic. And that came to me like a bolt of lightning, a complete shock to me. And I was like, me? Now, you know, I'd put on I'm going to say from when I retired till then, I'd put on 5-6 kilos. So not even a stone I'd put on since I retired. I was a very nice size 12. I then looked into this and thought, right, what difference can I make? Because I've got to reduce my HbA1c levels. And I changed up my diet. So I changed up my diet. So I was eating more vegetables and protein and very limited carbs. Really kept active, kept fit, blah, 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 blah. But like I said, I was doing that anyway, but now I was on a mission. Then I contacted Diabetes UK and I said, look, if this can happen to me, who's fit, comes from a good gene pool, blah, 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 I want to be an ambassador for Diabetes UK and raise awareness amongst my Black community and Asian community and minority ethnics. Because if this can happen to me as an Olympian who's slim, it can happen to anybody else. So when I've researched and spent more and more time with Diabetes UK, the figures are staggering. They are absolutely staggering how many people are on the brink of becoming type 2 diabetic. This week in itself we're in June, and this week is Diabetes Week this week. And I just put out a message the other day about 4.8 million people are living with diabetes. It's just so prevalent for me to really get that message out there for people to check themselves, look at their diets, look at their nutrition, look at their activity, and encourage everybody, because if it can happen to me, it can happen to many. Now, yet again, I do know the stats are increasingly high for over 40s Black people. They are high, but it's for us to start educating even the ones in their 30s, you know, talk to a mate. Our lifestyle can sometimes be a massive contributing factor to our ailments.
Like my jaw has dropped because it is such, exactly as you said, past Olympian, sporty, fit, healthy, and then to be going through that. How's your mum doing now?
My mum's diabetes actually has gone down. She's dropped off several tablets. Unfortunately for my mum, she got diagnosed with stomach cancer last year. So she's been through a massive journey, huge journey. She was 80 in April, and I haven't even seen my mother because of lockdown. So, but she's got her diabetes under control. She's very, very slim because she no longer has a stomach. But she's a fighter. She's positive. She wants to show people that despite all the challenges that you may face, you have to keep going. You have to keep going. And all her life, she's been a fighter. And I'm fortunate enough that she's passed it down to me. She's passed it down to my brothers. And that's my job to pass it down to my kids. Things don't come easy, but you've got to keep fighting.
Yeah. So with regards to your sort of your diet and your nutrition and what you're eating, I'd love for you to maybe just expand a little bit more on that.
Yeah. So, of course, it's not one size fits all. So that's something that I would say to everybody. It's important for you to work out what works for you. And, Diabetes UK wouldn't advocate necessarily what I eat. So I've chosen to do what works for Michelle Griffith-Robinson. And for me in the mornings, I'll have a cup of coffee, which my husband will bring upstairs to me. Then after that, I'll have scrambled eggs and smoked salmon. And I'll have that with just made with some butter or olive oil. I'll just have that on its own. Then about 11 o'clock, I might have a Greek yogurt and maybe a handful of raw nuts in there. Then lunchtime, I'll have maybe some mackerel or chicken with salad. Or today, for example, I'm making a homemade chicken soup. So I'll throw everything in there, sweet potato, blend it all up with broccoli, kale, anything that's in the fridge, I throw it in. and my special ingredient, Scotch bonnet, which is a little hot pepper sauce from the Caribbean. And then for evening meal, I'll have everything that the family will have without the carbohydrates. So if we're having a roast dinner, I'll have the chicken, I might have a sausage, I might have some stuffing, and I'll have all the veg. Not very much carrots. I don't really like a lot of carrots, and plus they're high glycemic. So I don't eat a lot of carrots, but I eat a lot of greens. So it'd be kale, broccoli, a few peas again. Sometimes I'll have a smoothie throughout the day. But that's how I've kept, and that has actually lowered my weight for one. So I've lost about 4.5 kilos since the start of this journey. But the intention wasn't necessarily just to lose the weight, but was to start thinking what's working for me. So I would just say to people, smaller portions would be my tips there. Look at what you're eating. Sometimes when we look at our plate, we think, goodness gracious me, that could feed 2 people. So smaller portions, more activity, and be conscious what you're putting in your mouth.
We actually do that in our house. We have we've got these, I don't know where Mum got them from, like these massive, they are just huge plates, they just fit so much food, and in the end we've got like the small side plates, like a middle sized plate, and then these ginormous ones. And so me and Mum just ended up swapping them out, or I did like quite a few years ago, just because I was like, I'm eating far too much, like, because you just it's almost psychological, you know, with like filling your plate up. And
absolutely.
And it's better if you have a smaller plate and fill your smaller plate up, because
absolutely makes such a difference. So, and it's just about being more conscious of it. I've never been a big drinker anyway, so a bottle of wine will last me the whole month. I'm not a big drinker. It's never been something that's, you know, but I would have like a Lucozade. I do like a few Haribos. I like my Ritter Sport hazelnut chocolate, but everything is now in considerable moderation.
One of the other areas I'd love to talk to you about is working with, you work with the Dame Kelly Holmes Trust as a mentor. And I'd love to hear more about your role in that space and what you're doing.
It was 2009 I started mentoring for the Youth Sport Trust, which is a brilliant, and that was from my best friend Marcia, who again, looking out for others, said to me, Michelle, you know, I think you'd be really suited to this mentoring. So I did some work with them. Then I went on from there in 2012 and I started working for the Dame Kelly Holmes Trust. And that was from a guy called Adam Whitehead, who I knew from sport. He introduced me to them. And obviously Kelly, I've known Kelly since I was 15. You know, me and Kelly go way back, and I speak about it with absolute fondness. My work with the charity is humbling. It's a reality check for some and for myself. I share my journey of trials, tribulations, highs and lows to motivate others. And as a mentor for the trust, it's about sharing your story to inspire others and being that support system with them. So being their traveling companion, I like to use that saying. So traveling along the journey with them. And when they feel that they can't carry on, being able to pick them up. Exactly like what I said to you in the beginning of the conversation about having the team around you. So being a mentor on several programs, I've impacted several people's lives over the years. And seeing them grow, these individuals grow and grow and grow, has been amazing. You know, one of the girls that I'm still very fond of now and still keep in touch with came on the program as she would, in her own words, a dysfunctional troublemaker. She went on to do some fantastic work for Southeastern Trains. And, you know, it is, again, when we talk about companies like DHL, the work Southeastern Trains and the money they've invested in the trust, in the Dame Kelly Holmes Trust, companies like that, I want to shout their names from the rooftop. They're forward thinking, they support the cause, and they support young people. So we work with a lot of our population are young people that are not in employment, education, or training. And it's our job to give them the confidence by the end of the program we run with them, 6 weeks, 4 weeks, to give them the confidence to get back into employment, education, or training. And you'll use various skills. So team building skills. We talk about subjects to see how they deal with it. And it's monitoring them. And our flagship program called Get On Track has been probably one of the best programs I've ever been involved with. Watching the young people grow over the 6 weeks, and then it changing into, you seeing them after the 6 weeks, you see them every few months, like a keep in touch session. It's been mind blowing. I've worked in Dover, in Margate, in Ramsgate. I've done lots of talks around London. It's an amazing program, and well done for Kelly for having the vision and the dream to impact young people's lives. And at the same time, helping athletes like myself find a niche as well. So it's about helping those athletes that are just retiring or not sure where they're going, and they upskill you. They pay for my coaching academy course to become a life coach. So, yet again, it's about giving back. And actually, our team name is called the Give Back Team.
What advice would you have for people out there who are maybe just going through a tough time at the moment? What would you say?
I would say, I could spend all day talking to you guys about this. We all go through different experiences in life. And I often say, and this is, again, I speak so much about my mum. Don't get me wrong, I still love my dad. My dad's still there, but my role model is my mum. But my mum would often say, until you walk in those shoes, you'll never truly understand what that person's going through. So in terms of getting up and keeping it going, having a structure. And I think throughout this whole Corona thing, the one thing that's kept me going and kept me alive and kept me buzzing was having a structure. So it turned out that I had my 3 children at home with me. Obviously, one of them is very dependent on me. The other 2 are a bit older. So every morning we'd have a structure. We'd have a plan. So have a plan of what you want to achieve. Make that plan realistic. So sometimes as well, we put too much pressure on ourselves to achieve something that is completely outside of our stretch zone. So then we feel like we're failing. So have a plan that's realistic. Discuss that plan with somebody. Yeah. So you often say to that person, I just want you to hear me out. Just hear me out. You're not asking for advice. You're not asking for anything. Just want you to hear me out. Because sometimes as well, as soon as you mention that you're doing something positive, somebody comes with a negative connotation on it and puts you off your track. So have a plan. Just say to somebody, I just wanted you to hear me out about this. Measure your plan and what you want to achieve. So make it be measurable. And we often talk in coaching about using the SMART model. Specific, measurable, how attainable, how realistic, and the time it's going to take. Yeah. I would then say my main tip would be, again, because I am such a social person, have a support system that can catch you if you fall. And that for me, Sarah, is it. Having a support system. So for me, I have got a group of fantastic women. A lot of them are my Olympic friends. A few of them aren't, that I would talk to and call upon. One of my confidants, one of my main people that I talk to on a myriad of levels about work, home life, personal life, where I want to go, is my best friend, Marcia. Also my husband, Matt. And Matthew helps me significantly look at things objectively and takes the emotion out of it. Now, I know I am very lucky to be married to a Matthew, because Matt is very much pushes me, encourages me. And some days he just says, babe, what can you do about it? He knew I was struggling not seeing my mum. And he said to me, babe, what can you do? What can we do about it? And instead of saying, oh, don't be stupid. You know you can't see your mum. It's locked down. Blah, 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 blah. Mish, what can we do about it? What do you think we can do? And just the timing of the questions and the wording changes things so much.
How did you meet your husband?
I met my gorgeous looking husband at the Commonwealth Games in 2002 in Manchester. And I was with, again, Marcia at the time, Marcia Bailey, who works for the English Institute of Sport and has been in my life for the last 35 years. We were in the dining hall, packed dining hall, 1,000 people in there. And I spotted this beautiful looking black man sitting with a group of white guys. And I said to Marcia, I'm going up to that guy. I'm going up to him. She's like, where are you going? I said, I'm going to go up to him. I'm going to go and let him know. I'm going to marry him. No, you cannot go up to him. You cannot go up to him. I said, Mars, nothing ventured, nothing gained. I'm going up to him. So I go up to him and I can see what I'm wearing now. I had really short hair like my hair is now. Had on a pink T-shirt because I've always liked bold, bright colours. And I had on a pair of diesel jeans and a pair of Adidas Gazelles, pink Gazelles. And I go up to him and I say, hi, I'm Michelle. He says, hiya, in his Welsh accent. And I said, how are you? And he said, I'm really well. I said, you don't know, my name's Michelle. He said, I know who you are. I saw you in the papers yesterday. And there was a bum photo shoot in the newspapers the day before and he'd seen me in there. Embarrassing, cringe, whatever. And I then said to him, oh, we had a little chat. And he just said, I think I said to him, can I have your number? And he said to me, no, you can't. He said, oh, can I have yours? Because at the moment I can't really give you mine. I was like, bloody cheeky. As it turned out, he was in a relationship. He checked my number to see if it was mine. He gave me a call like within an hour. I never heard from the bugger for 3 months. 3 months. Then he called me October the 31st. And as they say, the rest is history. We've been together 18 years.
Oh my God, I'm so happy I can't stop smiling.
18 years. 18 years we've been together. 3 beautiful kids to boot, and 15 years married in September. So we've had an amazing journey, and we've grown together. You know, it's interesting. We've really grown together because we fell pregnant quite quickly with my first child. And, you know, we both knew that we were right for each other from the start. You know, we knew it was going to work. The commonality was there. The passion was there. But of course, you still have to go that journey of, you know, new parents when we had no idea about being parents. And I was 32 when I had my first child. And I've got to be honest with you, it was like being hit in the head. I was like, oh my God, this is so much harder than I ever anticipated. How did my mum do this 4 times over? So maximum respect for all women out there that are having their first children. Maximum respect out there for dads that are muddling their way through and having to cope with the ever-changing scenario of women and their children growing. And for us parents, it's tough out there. You know, we go through roller coaster of emotions. We have high expectations of our kids, high expectations of ourselves. So, yeah, that's going back on point. That's how I met my husband, Matt, Commonwealth Games.
Oh my God, I love that so much. Thank you for sharing that story.
Pleasure.
So, Michelle, I just want to mix things up a little bit now and ask you some quick fire questions. So my questions may be quick, but your answers don't have to be. Are you ready?
Yeah, man. Always ready. Born ready.
Born ready. Love it. Are you a morning or evening person?
Evening.
Oh, what time do you go to bed?
11 o'clock.
What time do you wake up in the morning?
My husband will debate that, but I would say I open my eyes around 7. And now, because Elijah's at school, but, you know, it's a bit more relaxed getting in there. I would say my coffee comes up about 7:45. I'm up and downstairs by 8-ish. Then I do lots of stuff throughout the day. I'm very proactive. Some days I'm really kicking butt. Really, I'm on it some days. Other days I'm like, oh, it's not about today. But that's normal too. I'm sure many people can resonate with what I'm saying. Some days you're on top of the world. Other days you're just muddling through.
Do you have like a specific morning routine or evening routine that you follow?
Morning routine, my coffee in the morning first thing. Then I have to do a quick whiz around the house, make sure it's tidy. Don't know why. Put a load of washing on. And then make sure Elijah's sorted. Elijah's my priority because he's the youngest one. Make sure he's okay. Get him off to school. Come back and have my breakfast then. And I used to train really first thing in the morning, but I recognize that I don't really like training first thing in the morning. I prefer training in the afternoon, evening.
Got you. My next question was going to be, are you a tea or coffee person? But I think you're coffee.
Coffee. Yeah, coffee person. Yeah. Love a lovely cup of coffee.
What about a movie? Do you have a favourite type of movie that you watch or like to binge watch?
My husband's a movie addict, so I just kind of watch what he watches. I would say movies for me, my favourite movie is Bridesmaids, which is a feel-good factor girly movie. I'm quite a girly girl, you know. I love my girls, man. I love my daughters. I love my best friends who are females. And I love my mummy, you know. But something that is me and Matthew's guilty pleasure, and it really sets us up really nicely. We like X Factor and Britain's Got Talent. We just love those shows. And on a Saturday, that kind of sets up me and Matthew's winter routine. You know, we love them shows. So we like that. We like The Voice. But that's the only thing. We're not a big TV person, TV people. We're not huge into TV. But weekends will be where we sit down.
What about a book? Has there been a book that you've read that has really sort of inspired you, or a book that you will go back to read it sort of again and again and again? I
love anything to do with Oprah Winfrey. Love Oprah. I love inspiring books. Brené Brown. I love everything about her podcasts, her books. I like motivation. I like Deepak Chopra. I don't know if you guys remember the book, The Secret. That was one of the first books that really got through to me. So I like books like that really challenge your thinking and open up more. And at the moment, I'm reading over again Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Successful People. I'm reading that with my husband at the moment.
Yeah. Be proactive.
100%. It's all about being proactive. Absolutely. For me, anyway. For me.
Yeah, no, I think it's huge. I had his CDs when I used to work in a corporate career, and every morning I would just play his CDs, and it was the same thing, and I could still hear his voice in my head, like, be proactive.
Exactly that. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. You know, I like that motivation. I'm thinking as well, Sarah, you know, if anybody's out there wants to help me with this, I'm thinking about writing a book, 50 for 50, like little quotes, tips, anecdotes for my 50th birthday next year.
Yes, do it. Go for it.
50. Yeah, I am. I've started writing them out already. I started just writing out little things out, little quotes, motivational quotes. So one of the ones that I stuck up in my office now, which I can see now, is celebrate your success, no matter how big or small, it's yours.
How are you planning to celebrate your 50th?
Do you know what? With everything that's going on right now, I have no idea. So I'm 48 now, 49 in October, 50 next October. It's going to be a celebration. There's no two ways about it. It's got to be a big celebration. I'm not sure how I want to celebrate it. I know for my 40th, I went to Miami with 7 best friends and we had the best time. But it'll be something. It'll be celebrated. I've got lots of pockets of really special people in my life. And of course, I've got my family as well. So it'll be celebrated somehow. I'm just thinking of how, what, which, when, But I'm definitely going to start just chugging away at my little 50 quotes. And I think that's an important one that I share with people. Celebrate your success, no matter how big or small, they're yours.
Absolutely. What about music? Is it a particular song, genre? What your favourite song?
Sarah, if you could see me now, I'm starting to dance already. I love soul music, R&B music, but my favourite song, and it sounds really morbid, but I've even put it in my will. The one song, and when you get off this podcast, Sarah, you must go and listen to it. Optimistic by Sounds of Blackness. It's called Optimistic. It is a rocking song. And anybody that knows me, all the people that really know me, as soon as they hear that song, they say, that's Michelle's song. So that's my favourite all-time song, Optimistic. As long as you keep your head to the sky, you can win. It's all about positivity again. And I love my girl Beyonce. Absolutely love my girl crush is Beyonce.
Love it.
Yeah.
Would you say you're more of a beach person or a mountain person?
Ooh, gosh. I love my mountains. I love trekking. I love walking. We did the Lake District last year and I love that. Love the beach, hanging on the beach. Gosh. Beach. Just about beach. Just.
What about food? What's your favourite type of food to eat?
Favourite type of food to eat will have to be curry goat and rice and peas. West Indian food is probably my favourite, followed very, very closely by I love a damn good pizza. All the things that I can't have being pre-diabetic. I love a pizza, but I guess if I had to really put it down to everything, I'm a seafood person, complete seafood person. Completely. Love seafood.
Have you had cauliflower pizza? Like the cauliflower pizza base?
The cauliflower base. Didn't like it.
Didn't like it. Oh, that's a shame.
Didn't like it. But I will go again. Because remember, that's when everyone's trying to throw different things at me all the time. Try this, try that, try this. So my mindset probably wasn't right. But I will go again because I think you should try something twice.
What do you do for rest and relaxation?
Candles. Love candles. I will put on a candle, listen to music, talk. I'm such a talker. I love, as you can see or hear.
Love it.
A candle on, some flowers in front of me, listening to music, dancing would be my relaxation.
I don't know how easy this is going to be, but what are the words that you try and live your life by?
Be kind, be authentic, and growth.
And Michelle, where's the best place for people to find more information out about you, to follow you along on social media and get in contact with you?
So at Tall Mish is what I am on Twitter. Michelle Griffith-Robinson on Instagram. Michelle Amanda Robinson on Facebook. And as I am right now, speaking right now, I've just pulled down my old website and they're getting a new website made, but that will be michellgriffithrobinson.co.uk. I'd love to connect with others. I love people. I love impacting other people's lives. I love unlocking their potential. And the show must go on. If we can do better, if we know better, let's do better.
Absolutely. Michelle, thank you so much for coming on the Tough Girl podcast to share more about your incredible life and journey.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey Tribe, I hope you enjoyed that episode with Michelle, an absolute legend. As always, everything that we've talked about today will be available in the show notes at toughgirlchallenges.com. So please do go check out the main website. There is links to Patreon, Facebook, Instagram. There's also more information about me and my background. There's links to the various different books that I've written, whether that's on running the marathon to Saabs, chalet hosting, or giving top tips and advice from other tough girls. So whole host of information. Go and visit toughgirlchallenges.com. So we've got something quite exciting coming up in the next couple of weeks. The 4th of August is going to be the 5th year anniversary of the Tough Girl podcast, which I cannot believe at all. So to celebrate, there's going to be 4 bonus episodes coming out on the 4th of August. And I'm also going to be doing a special episode as well, where I'll be sharing more about reflections on the past year, going back to August 2019. And I'll also be answering any questions from the Tough Girl tribe. If you've got any questions that you want me to answer or topics you'd like me to discuss in that episode, then please do send me an email, sarah@toughgirlchallenges.com, and I'll make sure that I get to it. I'll be looking to record that episode around the 1st of August, so please get in contact with me before that date. But yes, 4th of August, the 5th year anniversary of the Tough Girl podcast. A massive thank you to all of the patrons around the world who are supporting. I could not do this without your regular financial contribution every single month. It makes such a massive difference. We're coming up to 300 patrons, which is incredible. And if you've been listening to the Tough Girl podcast for a while, I just want you to think about these next couple of questions. Has it motivated you? Has it inspired you? Has it encouraged you to go on a new adventure, to take on a new challenge? If the answer is yes to any of those questions, then please consider paying it forward. $5 a month would be an amazing contribution, and it just means so much to have a regular source of income coming in. So to learn more, please do go and visit Patreon, patreon.com/Tough Girl Podcast. As always, new episodes come out on a Tuesday, 7 a.m. UK time. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And I'm really excited about the 4 episodes, which are going to be going live on the 4th of August to celebrate the 5th year anniversary. Take care, lots of love, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.